What's going on, hockey fans? Welcome into the Hockey Hub. Casey and Sophia breaking down the Bruins. As we all know, they headed over to the West Coast. They already faced off with the Ducks, which we will unpack that. Tonight, they're taking on the Kings before closing things out going north. But then we're going to get into some Boston Fleet talk because their season opens up this Sunday ahead of the holiday week. And more importantly, someone that we've been waiting to chat with again. I didn't get a chance to talk to him before we went live because I have been running around like a crazy person, but Ryan Mougenel of the Providence Bruins joining us right here and now. I hope it's not awkward. This is my first hello, but I've been telling Sophia how excited I was to have you back. So hello, how's it going?
Oh, wow. That makes two of us. I'm excited as well. I've been watching you guys from afar. You're doing a great job, girls. You're fantastic.
That is the sweetest. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't really hear you guys at first, so I was like, I hope nobody thinks I'm being rude without giving a proper hello. But also, hello and congratulations. Great start for Providence thus far. A lot of rave going on with the successful franchise start. So first and foremost, how did that feel now that you guys are 12-2? Because having that strong bump to begin with probably gives a lot of confidence moving through the season.
Yeah, I think, the first thing is that the guys have done a great job of buying in. We have a real special group down there. They're, as per usual, fun to be around. Really committed to, their craft of getting better. And, from the staff, from the scouts, from the GMs, I think they've done a great job of identifying just quality people. And, I talk about it a lot. I feel very grateful and fortunate to be able to work with such a good group every day. I truly enjoy coming to the rink and seeing some of these guys every day. The faces have changed here in the last little bit, quite a bit, but it hasn't changed much. The feel is good. It really is truly a good group to be around.
We had you on in the summer and we were talking about call-ups and when, how you prepare guys for the NHL. And if it's hard, when they go up, you don't really get to, some go up and come down, some don't, and you don't get to see them anymore. But you said that's what you work for. Like you're a player's coach. The guys love you. That's been definitely the feedback we've gotten from everyone that's ever been called up, that they love you and you love seeing them, get that success. But at the same time, is it hard all of a sudden when someone might not be coming down and you're like, okay, I'm not seeing them every day anymore, / we got to adjust rosters and lineups and work around this?
Well, I think the American League affords you that, that ability to connect with players probably a little bit differently than maybe in the NHL. And, the one thing I think our staff has done since I've been in Providence is build parts of guys' games where it's not just, their strengths. You think about a guy like Riley Tufte, he's 26, 27. And I think he's really just kind of finding his own as a player. And sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it takes coaching staffs time to identify what he's really good at and things that he's got to work on to give him, not just the 1-2 game call-ups, but we want guys going up and having longevity and ultimately helping the Bruins win. And that's great to see that a lot of our guys have gone up even, this year and contributed. So that's not on me. It's on the players. The players are fantastic. And our scouts have done a great job of identifying some of those attributes that we find are so important for you to be a Bruin. So, yeah, again, it's a little bit rewarding in the fact that guys go up and have success. It sucks sometimes when you look at, your board and you're like, okay, who's going to fill this hole? But you got to get over it. And it's the next man up where we are. So next man up, it's an opportunity. And I'm confident in the guys that we have in the lineup, especially even tonight.
Yeah, I think it's obvious that you guys have a pretty great group, and something else Sophia and I got a chance to chat with you about over the summer was a credit to great coaching to be able to keep guys even keel when they're getting called up and having to come back down. You're dealing with continuing to develop them as well as managing their emotions. It feels like, and call me dramatic, Don't worry. I know it can be. But it feels like this season thus far, there's already been a significant amount of call-ups and significant amount of pressure to either get up to this level and stay at this level. So has there just kind of been any extra obstacles to the beginning of this season, especially starting out so successful in Providence, when guys are itching to continue to hold on to the opportunity up here?
Well, I think, Case, too, you're always managing expectations, especially in the American Hockey League. And, guys have a lot of pride, too. They want to be in the NHL. And it is an interesting dynamic in the fact that, you have a group that are in the American League that don't truly really want to be there. They want to be in the NHL. And listen, my feelings aren't hurt. My job is to make them a much more complete player. And sometimes kind of take away those anxieties that they have about, getting to the next level. These guys, they've got a lot of voices in their ears, and sometimes one voice, telling them what they need to do as opposed to what they think they should do. I've been at it a while. I think I have a good grasp of what translates from our level to the next level, and kind of especially kids that are coming in from different organizations. I think sometimes that's a little bit of a tougher message, and there was those messages, especially with a guy like Blumel, who had a ton of success in the American Hockey League, and then he finds himself kind of back in the American League to start the season. And one message I had for Blooms is like, you do this really, really well. You're a terrific goal scorer at the American League level, but you're back in the American League. How do we build your game to where you're an NHLer? And those are the things that we identified. You might score a ton, but you're going to go up. You're going to have a B game. And, those are the things that we talk about as an organization, as a group. It's not just me. It comes from Adam McQuaid and Ben Smith and Dennis Bonby and Evan Gold. It's a collection of voices that I feel we do a real good job of it in Providence to be pretty clear with the guys what they need to do to get there. So it's by committee for sure, Case. But again, great kids. We're working with awesome kids. They really are great kids.
Mooj, it's going to be a bit long-winded. I'll try to get to the point, but you were in the Providence Bruins system as an assistant and then now head through several different coaches who have different styles. So Bruce Cassidy, Jim Montgomery, and then now Marco Sturm. And something we talked about with the guest we had on who covers AHL hockey, covers the P-Bruins, is how when a new head coach comes in with a different system, how you guys have to adjust so that the kids that are trying to get to the NHL, they're ready for the NHL system that the coach has and doesn't have to learn a new system. So does that mean for you, as soon as there's a new head coach, like you're changing your coaching style based on how he coaches, or do you get to have your own input as well as to like a system that you think would work best? Or is it kind of like what head coach in the NHL team that you're working with, it's his system or bust? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's a very common question that a lot of people ask, and for me as a coach, my main objective is to get guys ready for the NHL. So I don't want kids going up and trying to learn a new system on the fly. Whether I agree with it or I don't agree with it, it doesn't matter what I think. It's about teaching it clear to our players so they go up and there's vertical assimilation where they just go in and they play. They're not thinking. I've never been accused of thinking too much, so I try to simplify it as much as I can for the guys. But I think that's the only thing that's fair to the players. I've been around other organizations that play different than their NHL team. For me, it's never about me. It's about the players, and at this level, that's the most important thing. Are there things I agree with? For sure. Are there things I disagree with? Yeah, I'm like anybody else. I'm a little bit different in the fact, probably, so that I ask a ton of questions. I rely on a lot of people around me. From a lot of people, I talk to former players, what they think, what they see. Did I explain this right? When guys come down, I ask what they've heard, if they're hearing, Marco's message right. And I'll be honest, at the beginning of the year, there was a little bit of confusion on how we had to play in our own end. And those are messages that I relayed, back to Chris Kelly and Steve Spott. This is what I think we can laser in on, where I see us having, a little bit of a difference from last year to this year. We had, not that we've taught our guys so well, but, in our D zone, our low forward was always inheriting high. Now we're asking our low forward to inherit low. So there was teaching moments. And I think that's important as a staff, that you kind of get together and you talk about it. It's not an exact science by no means, but it's important to have dialogue where you feel open to talk about things like that. And that's one thing, if you spend any time with Spotter and especially Chris Kelly, that they're very open, and it's just good to be around. So it's good to talk hockey, and you guys watch too. I'm sure there's things you guys see. You see a lot of hockey. So, if I was there, I'd be in your ear too, asking you what you see. So I believe in that. I think, if you want to grow players, you gotta grow as well. So that's part of it.
Yeah, this system comes with a lot of growing pains, but then you also see really great growth on the other side. Speaking of that, opportunities presenting themselves, Michael Callahan trying to help out on the back end. You mentioned the D zone. What have you seen out of Callahan? Because, of course, going into an intricate defensive zone system and then being effective and not overthinking anything, I'm sure that there's an emotional level as a coach that you have to speak to, but then there's just the trust factor. What have you seen out of Callahan?
Well, we got Michael out of school, so we've had him in the incubator for a long time. He's without a doubt our best defender that we've had in Providence. Somebody that's really grown his game from day one to where he is now. He's an elite defender at our level. He's got the nickname Cadillac that's starting to stick a little bit, just because he's just calm and cool back there, and he does a real good job of being detailed, and he's a little bit of a coach's dream in the fact that, you know exactly what you're going to get. The consistency's been built into his game, and I'm a big fan of Michael. I know he can go up there and help, and he's another guy too that, if he's got to wait his turn, he can wait his turn. He'll be fine going in, where other guys, younger players, they need to play every day and keep building that consistency. So we got a couple guys knocking on the door to get up there and play some important minutes for the Bruins. But for now, Callie gets his number called, and I'm real confident in the player and the person that Michael is. So he's done a great job of really growing his game and being a student of it. And, he's one of our success stories for sure. Sometimes it gets overlooked just because of, those stay-at-home, reliable Ds. Sometimes they don't get talked about as much, but I'm real proud of Michael and the growth in his game.
We'll give him love here. We had to have a conversation with Jackie Redmond once, and I think I offended her when I was like, are stay-at-home defensemen dying? This was like 2 seasons ago, and she was like, don't you ever say that again. I was like, I'm so sorry. I just thought this was a trend. So I'm not killing off stay-at-home defensemen. Sorry, Soph.
No, they're very, very important. Mooj, a couple things. The humble people usually hate recognition, but I have to take a moment just to say your answer before that. So you just have no ego. And like you said, there are so many coaches. I couldn't imagine if someone told me to do a broadcast style, that's not my style. And they're like, no, we want you to be like this. I don't know if I could do my job if it was against how I felt. And I'm not saying you're against the system that you're working under now, but it just takes, like I said, a no ego person. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge that. And because you're humble, you probably hate that I'm acknowledging that, but too bad. I need to take a moment just to give you praise for making it about the kids and not you and what you want. So I think that's what really helps the development of the kids. On that note, flipping it completely the other way, let's talk about your game tonight against the Lee Valley Phantoms. Can you give us a little preview what you're expecting? We already talked about some of your regulars being out of the lineup because they're up with the Bruins. What can you expect out of tonight?
Yeah, I think the one thing looking at their roster, they have some guys that have had a taste in the NHL and they've got some skill. But so honestly, I'm not a guy that talks a lot about the other team. I talk a lot about us and what we got to bring. And we've got a lot of opportunity for a lot of guys here in the next little bit. Obviously, the Bruins are going through a little bit of a tough time with injuries. It's not that I'm dating myself, but I said it was a MASH unit, and I'm not going to say who, but somebody that I work with was like, MASH, didn't know the show. And I know you being from Like when I grew up, I know MASH was on every time I came home from school. We're a little bit different age-wise, but that being said, there's a ton of opportunity for guys when the injuries bugs kind of hit the Bruins kind of hard. And listen, they're not the only team that's going through it. I think the schedule, if I'm going to be critical, I think it's a little bit crazy. And you're seeing we're not the only team kind of going through it. I think every other team's kind of going through it. And there's a reason why guys play extremely hard. Guys are getting banged up. So it's good for guys in the American League and the fact that they're going to get tons of opportunity, whether it's at the NHL level or for us, we're going to have a ton of opportunity for guys to, earn some important minutes for us. And I'm looking forward for those guys I know they'll be great at it.
Well, we're looking forward to continue cheering you guys on. And like Sophia said, you're very humble, but congratulations. A lot of great things going on. And we get to see the result of it when the guys come up to Boston. You have a game to get ready for, so we're going to let you go. But make sure everyone sticks with us here on the Hockey Hub as we dive into what's going down on the West Coast with the Bees. Stay tuned with us here on the Hockey Hub after this quick break. Ryan Mougenel, thank you so much for joining us here on the Hockey Hub.
Bye,
Thanks, guys. All the best. See ya. Take care.
Welcome back into the Hockey Hub. From talking Providence Bees to the Boston Bees, as you guys know, started off their West Coast road trip on Wednesday, unfortunately falling short to the Ducks for the second time this season, 4-3, which Sophia and I will get into momentarily. Tonight, 10:30, it goes down versus the LA Kings. Guys, I can't figure out how ugly I think this game is going to get, but more to unpack. And then Sunday, 8 o'clock versus a red-hot Sharks team with that dynamic duo by the name of Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini. And then Wednesday, they take on the Islanders once again, which if there's another team in the NHL feeling themselves, it is very much the New York Islanders. Sophia, what do we think is about to go down as this West Coast trip progresses? Like I said, I was sitting in the bullpen and I was talking to everybody, eating too much candy. And I was like, I can't put my finger on tonight quite yet because the Kings, while you know what to expect, it's just kind of ugh to me. Explains nothing.
Okay, so when you said over the board that it might get ugly, are you referring to last year, like Sway and Kemper maybe going, center ice, they were trying to go, or
I feel
just
like leftover feelings? I feel like low scoring, like they don't score a ton, but they don't let up a ton either. And then it's just like they aren't heavy hitters, but things can get physical. That's what I mean by it's just like it's a toss-up. I feel like we can get a number of things and all of it be ugly unless it's just a complete beating of the Bruins on the Kings.
Yeah, I'd have to see. The Bruins are skating a little later because they're on the West Coast, so we don't have the information about rushes and morning rushes and who's going to be in the lineup. But I imagine that you have bigger bodies maybe this time in the lineup as opposed to last game. So Tufte might be in there. But yeah, I don't know about I don't know about if it's going to get ugly, but that's not because I don't think so. It's because I haven't really thought about it. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't tell you right now. And it would also depend on the Bruins' mood and determination after blowing last game. And I don't want to say they blew it, but I love the comeback. I loved the way that game went. It was back and forth. It was very exciting. We were talking about for a late game, the people who stayed up, yes, we wish they won, but at least it was very exciting back and forth. And it's just that final, one of the themes, sorry, and I'm kind of diverting from your question, but I will get back to it. But one of the themes with the Bruins is having a bad couple shifts after they score a goal. So after they get the go-ahead goal or after they tie it, all of a sudden, I don't know what happens. I don't know if they feel like relief and they're like, okay.
They get too comfortable.
I don't think those guys say, sorry, what?
They get too comfortable?
Yeah, and those guys aren't the type of character guys, at least from what I know, that would be sitting back. But I wonder if you're just putting so much energy into getting that go-ahead goal or into tying it that you just take a breather for a hot minute, but teams are too good. They're capitalizing on those breathers. And then we saw a couple of tough shifts where we're like, oh my God, Korpisalo kind of bailed them out. But sustained pressure from Anaheim, they kind of smelt blood and they gave it all in their 5 minutes. I'm sure how Anaheim pushed in the final 5-6 minutes of the game, you couldn't do that for a full 60, but those are the things you need to recognize, the moments where you're like, okay, I'm giving my all of it. Like, I'm burning those legs out. I'm giving it all for this final 5 minutes because this is the end here. It's not like we have to sustain this. And the Bruins weren't able to do that. So that being said, if they're really pissed about that, coming back to your question, if, coach had a talk with them, then maybe we will see some more physicality, some of that like dog eat dog, like hunger, where that could lead to some ugly stuff. But I would have to depend on how the Bruins are feeling about their loss, how tired they are. We've all talked about, even Mooj said, like, this is a crazy schedule. It is.
Yeah.
How tired they are. But I hope they're ready for this one. And I hope it is exciting because I'll be staying up doing it. So I hope there is some fighting we could talk about and some hits,
It's late night for you, that's for sure. But no, it's a great point to say that to a degree there can be a level of exhaustion. And like, honestly, I agree. I think part of the exhaustion might be the adjustments to this system and what the requirements are, and how Marco Sturm has talked about guys not only buying in, but buying into their role. So this being such a two-way heavy system, like, it could be new to a couple of guys that you can't give up after you try to go for a scoring chance or opportunity. You still have work to do, and the back check comes into question a number of times. And yeah, that's going to be a foreign concept for some guys who have to realize that you better grow a third lung in this season and in this system. But you nailed it on the head, and you mentioned smelling blood. And no, that's not in reference to the Sharks at the end of the West Coast trip. Actually, Nikita Zadorov had something to say about smelling blood. Take a listen right here.
Well, they had a couple chances. First period, second period we dominated. Also the third period we dominated. Then we started sitting back. I don't know why, and play scared. When you play scared in this league, you're gonna lose hockey games. Can't do it. Just gotta mature and I don't know, grow up kind of a little bit and take pride and don't play scared. Yeah, like as soon as you sit back, they smell blood. They're really high offensively, and they're just gonna capitalize on it.
So in that situation, deep breath, reset.
Well, every person deals with stress differently, right? So you got to find a way wherever you need to do to go up there and play even game. We've been talking about stay calm emotionally. Don't get too high, don't get too low on each other, and help each other. And I thought we did it through the first 50 minutes of the game, and then it just completely flipped. Lost 10 minutes, and here is where we're here again. We did it, 4 or 5 times this year already. Could have 4 points at least. Could have been 8. Get the game to overtime. Those points important. So I think we're already about 25% into the season. It's time to mature a little bit and take responsibility and play like a man.
I'm sorry, Brendan, our producer, but he gave us the sound to listen to before we go on the show. I didn't listen to it, so I'm sorry, Brendan. I did not know he said smell blood. Like, hey, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever said smell blood in the 30-something years I've been alive. I said it today. I'm buying a lottery ticket.
Yeah. What is that called? Telepathy?
Telepathy.
You had a telepathic moment with his post-Ducks chit-chat.
Yeah, synchronicities or whatever. But I guess, that makes me feel better that I read that right, because I'm like, even when I was talking, I'm like, I think I'm reading this right. But no, he said the exact same thing. Sitting back,
yes, he did.
Why do you do that? Leaving points on the table, play like a man. So with that, now that I heard that, to answer your original question about the Kings, Nikita's going to go out there and make an impact. We love this. We love this about him. But I think he's going to piss some players off, and they're going to have that in mind, I'm
so looking forward to it. It's like I walked in to the office because as most of our viewers hopefully know, we've got a cool show called Boston is End of the Chat. And I stayed up to watch the game because I'm a lunatic. So I'm in here like foggy-eyed the next morning because I wake up at 4 a.m. And a couple of the producers are like, did you see Zadorov wearing the A? And I was like, guys, first of all, I saw it. I'm fully aware of it. And he played like a guy who was rocking an A on his chest. I mean, he led this Bruins team when it came to shots on goal. And he was very much the guy who, and I've said it here 100 times, like when things get stalemate out there, he'll try to make something happen. And it's without being forceful and creating just a bunch of havoc. It's that extra ounce of like energy and effort. And that is something that has been preached heavily, effort and efficiency. So he's just very much not only lining up as like a really, really solid Boston Bruin, but also, a really good call for Marco Sturm. And an extra mouthpiece to have in that locker room for that reason. So yes, I hope that he has a pissed off night, not in a liability sense, but it's just like continuing to carry over the leadership that we're seeing game by game come out of him, and just what a pillar he's becoming for this Bruins team. And what better chance to do it versus a Kings team? Like I said, it can kind of go hit or miss. They've got so much skill, they've got talent, but they're not high scoring, they're not high shot volume. They actually really good at minimizing their opponent's shots on goal, but still, it's just like you don't know what you're going to get with this team, especially at home.
Yeah. And, to your point about, just really quick with Nikita, it's not reckless. I think that's the word you used, or it's
liability.
It's just not a liability.
Because some people see penalty and they freak out and they think, oh my gosh, he's a liability. But what some people don't realize is he's actually drawn an adequate number of penalties that have resulted in power play opportunities for this team.
Yeah, and that's actually a great point. That's what the guys were talking about a couple of games ago, maybe after the Toronto series, the home and home series, and, sitting on Austin Matthews and whatever. But he draws penalties, and some of the penalties he takes, maybe it was against the Islanders, when he was messing up Schaefer a little bit, that they're like, we don't mind some of these. Like, these are message senders. They're not reckless. It's not a liability, and it changes momentum. There's like you said, not all penalties are bad ones, and when you're drawing them as well, you're kind of evening the score here. But he's definitely been responsible. Like, I don't know, even in his post game or whatever, in his locker room sound, it feels different. And like, I hate saying that without having like stats or tangible evidence to prove that, but I'm with someone that goes off of feelings. It feels different. It feels like before maybe there was a bit of attitude, and I know he still has it in this healthy way and might say some things that make you think, but I don't know, it just feels different. It feels like he's taken on this big brotherly role that maybe, I don't know how we saw it last year. I like, this is probably
I think he's just
a rant
being more
that,
of himself. There is definitely a difference. I don't remember who said it. I remember months ago, we were either preparing for a Hockey Hub episode, but somebody was just mentioning the fact that like there's a tendency when players get into new organizations, which, this is an original six team, and this is a team that's found a lot of postseason success. So like maybe he just came in with a little bit too much gusto to try to like rise to an expectation that was very much being remolded or re-identified. So it came off one way, but now I feel like we're seeing him be himself, because different teams that he's played with, they're over here, chiming in to say, this is the guy we've always known. And a good friend of mine whose husband played with Zadorov in Colorado when he was a very young guy was like, this is the leadership style that we've always known him to have. That's a part of the reason why I've been on this train for so long. So I think it's him finally settling to him. And I think this system, I think this head coach, I think it all just very much fits where Zadorov wants his career to go and like what he actually stands for.
Yeah, and you know what? I was just thinking as you were talking, and again, I got to be careful when I think for things not to be taken out of context. But Marchand was a really big personality too, and I'm saying this as someone who missed I came back right like the day after Marchand was traded, so I missed the whole time that he and Zadorov were in the same room. And I'm not saying there was competition there, but we loved getting quotes from Brad Marchand because he was in a different way, blunt and honest, and would call reporters out when they had a stat, and he'd be like, are you sure about that? Like, he had the same kind of attitude in a bit of a different way, though. And maybe there was a bit of this, like, I don't know, maybe two big personalities like that take a while to kind of get to know each other. Maybe Zadorov's like, okay, this is Marchand's role, and he's the captain, and like, this is then I'm going to play this different role. It's just, yeah, like, it takes time to figure out, just like anything. And I like where he's settled, and I'm liking everything I'm seeing.
Yeah, well, as I think at this point, fans are probably like, okay, enough, Kasey. We know you're a Zadorov fan. But well-deserved, and like I said, he very much represented himself well with the A on his chest versus the Ducks. And look, we knew that was going to be a tall task. It's one of the top NHL teams right now, and they had ways to manage that game. As Zadorov mentioned, got away from them in the final 10 minutes there, and they were outshot 14-1 in that third frame. Now that we're on to the Kings, we feel like they'll have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, and we've seen this team actually have adequate bounce backs when they feel like they had a game well within their grasp and then things slip away. Many moving pieces when it comes to the injuries. We actually just talked to Mougenel about, Michael Callahan. We didn't see him on Wednesday versus the Ducks, but the opportunity still lies ahead with the injuries coming into play. Sophia, have you heard anything? I don't mean to put you on the spot. Have you heard anything about Elias Lindholm since joining the road trip? Like, if we'll see him?
Yeah, so Adam was saying, and so were Razor and Billy on the desk, that like he would not be on this trip if they weren't expecting him to play a game.
Okay.
They would not do that. So he's on this trip for that reason, in the sense that, like, sorry, maybe not expecting, but if there was no chance he was going to play, he wouldn't be here. He'd be skating back at Warrior. Yeah, just making sure that everything's okay. So the likelihood of him playing in one of these games, and then remember, they finally have like 2 days of rest, although they're going to be adjusting back to the schedule, but between the Sunday game and the Wednesday game. So maybe, there's an opportunity at the end of the trip, but absolutely the expectation is that if he's wasn't good enough or wasn't ready to come back soon, he wouldn't be on this trip. So that, and then Adam reported that as well, but he's of course on the road. He's going to be at their morning skate in about an hour over here. So in our pregame show, he'll have a better update about Lindholm and if he's expected to be in the lineup. We'll see if he's in the rushes, but he's getting close, and that's great. And Husnudinov has been awesome in his absence, but can he go over back to wing on one of the other lines where we're getting all these, injuries, and so move things around? So having Lindholm back will be huge.
I know, and that's going to be the stress of a coach, right? Because you have Elias Lindholm, who obviously is to function at that top C position. And then you have Husnudinov, who has just been tremendous in both facets, offensively and just getting stronger defensively. But then trying to move the pieces around on a second line where you've got two guys expected to come back at some point. It's just like, what's next? But I feel like this is kind of that rotating or that runway that we've talked about in terms of like making the most of your opportunity. And it's a good problem to have, to know that you've got so many hungry guys willing to be the next man up and be successful as the next man up. I mean, Alex Steve has actually been pretty great too. He definitely fits the two-way bill, and he's been somebody who's just been a heavy hitter. I didn't expect that from his game, but he's almost topping a number of these guys when it comes to hits. So that's why I'm saying this game could be really interesting tonight, because you see them kind of go against really severe forechecking teams, and that's exactly what this Kings team can do. And then you got an Adrian Kempe who's just entirely hard to keep off the board. You got Kopitar, who's on his last tour. I hate to call it a tour, but every game seems so sad because he's just kind of taking in every single moment. So it's going to be an interesting one, but I'm glad it's on a Friday night where I can stay up and really be involved in all aspects of it. Any final thoughts for the Bees and the Kings?
No, I think you covered it. You nailed it. I'm excited that you can stay up. You don't have to wake up tomorrow, so I'll be checking your Twitter about your thoughts on what you have to say. But no, I hope, like Nikita said, that the Bruins recognize the moments where, like, you never sit back in a game, but where you recognize certain moments where the pace and the intensity needs to go up. And I would say it would be after you score a goal. I mean, all the time, but like after you score a goal, whether you're up or whether you've tied it or whether you're like closing a gap closing a gap because you're behind, then it's like you just got a bunch of momentum scoring that goal. It's like, double down for the next couple shifts. Double down. Like, don't let them back in it. And I think the Bruins need to work on that a little bit. And I hope they're super hungry tonight.
Yeah. Double down, or as Adora said, man up, which I absolutely love to hear. So we'll see what the Bees do tonight. On the other side of this break here on the Hockey Hub, though, we pivot over to the Boston Fleet as their season faces off this Sunday, November 23rd. And I got a chance to catch up with new captain, that is, Megan Keller. Don't go anywhere. Join Sophia and myself back here on the Hockey Hub after this quick break. Back at it with the Hockey Hub, talking Boston Fleet as their season gets underway this Sunday. And as mentioned before the break, I had a chance to catch up with their new captain, Megan Keller. Take a listen right here. Megan, thank you for joining me here on NESN. Of course, a massive congratulations is in order as you're named the new captain for the Boston Fleet. But I have to say, it feels like Boston is holding so many moments, memories, milestones. Now you get to add this to the long list of what Boston has been meaning to you. So how special is it to be the new captain of the Boston Fleet?
Yeah, it's really special. Obviously, it's a huge honor, and Boston has become a home to me. So just really excited for the honor to hopefully lead this team in the right direction. I think we have a really special group, and I'm just excited to be a part of it. And hopefully we do the city of Boston proud this year.
Oh, I believe you guys will. It was exciting to watch you guys last year. Of course, a lot of new moving pieces, new faces, new moments, and a new head coach. You can share here. It's a safe space. Any level of extra excitement, confidence, maybe even nerves being the captain now that you guys are heading in a little bit of a new direction, but a lot of things to look forward to this season?
Yeah, I think just a lot of excitement. And I think that goes for our entire group. It was a pretty long off season, and so I think everybody's just really excited to get back together. We had a great week of training camp and some exhibition games, and just really looking forward to the home opener Sunday versus Montreal. What better team to open up the season against? A big rivalry there. So yeah, I think overall the group just has a lot of excitement. We really like the style of play that we're able to play this year, and yeah, excited to go to work.
Oh, yeah. Gravity, poetic. I thought poetic immediately when I found out you guys get to take on Montreal again. Was there anything different about training camp this year? Because sometimes with new faces, a new head coach, there's a little bit of a different rhythm, new drills. Anything that challenged you or inspired you during training camp?
Yeah, it was definitely a challenging training camp. I thought our entire group brought the compete. We brought the pace. That's how we want to play this year. Obviously with the expansion draft and everything, teams look a whole lot different this year. So we had a lot of new faces, and I think just for us, we were trying to get as close as a team as possible in this short amount of time as the opening night is upon us now. So I think we did a good job of that, and it was a challenging training camp, but I think that's going to help us in the long run here.
Absolutely. Another Fleet member got a promotion. What's it going to be like to have Alina Mueller wearing the A with you and kind of joining in on the captaincy and the leadership of this new Fleet team?
Yeah, it's exciting to have Alina as a part of that group. Obviously, she's been a leader for our team the past 2 seasons. Without a letter, she's led her national team at Northeastern, you name it, she's done it. And so just another great voice, and one of the hardest workers that we have on the group. I think everybody can watch her and things she does on the day-to-day and learn a thing or two from her. So excited to have her in the leadership group.
Any friendly competition, you being a BC gal, her being Northeastern? Because the Beanpot this year, I thought I went deaf when Mueller went out to the ice and people lost it over it. And then, of course, after that, it was good luck to have her in the building. So any friendly competition? Because I know you're competitive. We'll get to that later on.
Yeah, I think maybe when the Beanpot rolls around, we'll get maybe a little bet going or something. I'm always rooting for the Eagles, and I mean, I think both me and Alina will say the Beanpot's one of the best trophies in college hockey to win outside a national championship.
Oh, I've heard it's competitive, it's crazy, it is intense, and it's very fun to watch. Speaking of new bench boss in the mix, you got Chris Spar, and I got a chance to catch up with him during Jimmy Fun. Tremendous human. That's one of the first things you can ask for when it comes to a head coach. Anything that you've had an opportunity to learn from him. Another head coach in the Boston area who prides himself off of key communication and being able to translate what it is that he's looking for and just be a sound voice to make sure that it can translate and execute.
Yeah, I think his leadership for sure. The way that he's been able to come in and, get our attention so quickly. I feel like we've already took so many strides as a group, and that's a lot to the energy he brings and the way he explains things in practice. And it's easy to want to work for somebody that shows up every day and brings the energy as well. So yeah, excited to get the first game going with him behind the bench.
Yeah, he talked about having depth. The best goaltender in the league was something else that he mentioned. And I know sometimes, especially considering the support we saw Boston have behind the Boston Fleet last season, fans can get ahead of themselves with expectations. You guys have such a tremendous group. Do you feel like you have an idea of what this identity looks like, or is that just something that's going to start to find itself as the season gets underway?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a little bit about it. Obviously, last season kind of ended on a sour note for all of us. And I think going into this season, obviously we have a new group, but overall, I think our team and our organization has something to prove. And we just want to be a really tough team to play against. Definitely don't want any of our opponents having any sort of fun when they see us on the schedule. So if we can bring that every night, I think we have a good chance to hopefully string a few wins together.
Absolutely. Any extra motivation now knowing that you get to open the season versus Montreal, because the intensity has been there? You mentioned gravity, and it was probably one of the most tremendous things to just see how competitive it was between Boston and Montreal last season. Now a different delivery this year. You get to open up, make a statement.
Yeah, I think in prior years we've probably had a lot of games going to overtime. I know the first year we had like probably 10 overtimes in playoffs. But yeah, they've got a great team ahead of them, good goaltending, lots of offensive power. And once again, it's a rivalry that's been ingrained in Boston, not just on our side, the men's side, whatever it may be. So yeah, you couldn't ask for a better opponent to open up in front of our fans. So it's just excited for Sunday to come.
Yeah, Boston and Montreal just seems to be the meat of hockey in a number of ways, that's for sure, whether it's men or women's hockey. Any game day must for you, since we're so close? Sunday's right here. What's Megan Keller's game day look like?
Well, usually if it's a later game, I'll make sure I get a nap in, but this one's pretty early, so I don't think I'll be needing a nap. And rightfully so, I'll probably just be waiting for puck drop to roll around. So honestly, I don't really have too many rituals or anything. Just make sure I get something good to eat and head to the rink. Not much to it for me.
That's healthy. I feel like I would lose it if I had one thing that went out of the structure and routine, and I don't want to be locked up like that mentally. Hockey has made me a little bit more superstitious as I've gotten older, though. I don't know what that's all about. I'll talk to somebody about it eventually, that's for sure.
There's a lot of superstitions running around.
So many, from like down to the tape color. There's just some things I can't get on board with, but it's fun to watch and learn about. Something else that was fun to watch and learn about was just how tremendous it was for the Fleet to be able to play at Agganis Arena. What did that mean to you? How exciting was that fan base? And more importantly, the ability to sell out the place. I mean, the signs that are made, the fans that are just excited to watch you guys and rally behind the Boston Fleet. And you get 2 more additional games at Agganis this year.
Yeah, we've been fortunate to play in a few different arenas throughout Boston. Obviously, the Lowell crowd always brings it. And it was exciting to play in Agganis last year and see, what kind of crowd we got there. And I think no matter where we were, the fans were showing up, which was pretty unique and cool. So excited to have that this season, kind of those split games. And we just want to bring the energy, bring the pace for the fans, hopefully give them something to cheer for.
I cannot wait. I'm very excited to watch you guys yet again. Got a chance to hang out with you and Abby and Shay and Haley back in August, which feels forever ago at this point. I got to ask about Haley, how she's getting adjusted and how excited you are to play with her in this upcoming season.
Yeah, I don't know if she's needed any time to adjust. It's been pretty seamless for her. Could have guessed that coming into this. She's obviously got such great skill, such great talent. But again, like one of the hardest workers that we had coming in, and fortunate that I've gotten the chance to get to know her well and play with her on the national team. So I'm really excited to have her as a teammate year round now. Pretty lucky to have her with me year round. So excited to get a chance to play with her and just continue to grow the relationship we already have.
Oh yeah, she ups the ante on the compete, which is what I got to see firsthand. So we got to get into it. Fleet Games Part 1 drops tomorrow. Now I got to ask, where do you think you ranked when it comes to docked points for cheating? Because I needed help to monitor you guys because there was a lot of cheating going on.
I'll just say I was not the original cheater. So I think I only did what I had to do. I think we all know, and we'll see.
I was gonna say, will you name drop who the lead cheater was? The board will be released soon.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I should name drop?
Yeah, you can name drop. Who do you think the lead cheater was?
Oh, Abby Levy, 1,000%. She said in her opening statement that her strategy was cheating.
She did. She completely owned up to it. I wish we would have led with that, but it was fun to see how competitive that you guys got with it and how the scoring turned out. I was horrible with keeping track of scoring for you guys, but I was like, I got to ask Megan if she knows where she landed with the cheating. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, a modest cheater, I would say. I'm not I won't
You still
start
had some
anything,
morale
but
to your cheating style, that's for sure. That's fantastic. You guys are great about that, so it was an enjoyment for me. Got to ask 2 more questions before I let you go. One being, do you feel like there's any difference between you, the player, and you, the now new captain of the Boston Fleet?
Honestly, not too much. Like, I think I want to stick to who I am and what makes me a great leader. And a lot of that, I think, for me is I want to lead by example on the ice and obviously step up and be vocal when I need to be. But I think personally, one of the things that I always strive for is to be a great teammate. And I think that's what brings the locker room together. That's when you get everybody pulling the same way, that's when you can do something special with a group. So that's probably what I'll just stick to.
Hey, we all love and respect anyone that leads by example, and that seems to be a theme when it comes to Boston. And speaking of Boston, we mentioned how ingrained it is in you and the milestones and the moments. So before I let you go, any big memories? TD Garden turns 30, celebrating its 30th anniversary. Any big moments that stand out for you at TD Garden?
Oh, gosh. Probably just being a fan at the Bees games throughout my college career. And obviously even now, I love getting the chance to go to the Garden and watch them play. I've been to a Celtics game. We also played, we haven't actually played there yet. The women's Beanpot's there, but I missed it. So hopefully one day soon I'll get the chance to suit up at TD Garden, and maybe that'll become my favorite memory.
Oh, we'll add that one to the list. I'll start the petition for you because that would be insane to see a game at TD Garden. Megan, thank you so much and congratulations yet again. We can't wait to support you guys and watch you crush it this upcoming Boston Fleet season.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. A lot to look ahead to. I know I can't wait. And for the 3rd straight season, NESN will serve as the broadcast home to the Boston Fleet. You can catch Fleet every regular season game during the 2025-26 season right here on NESN, starting with this Sunday, November 23rd, the season opener, as Boston takes on Montreal. You heard Megan mention how intense things get for Montreal. Boston Fleet opening the season, and get your tickets. They're available at bostonfleet.com/tickets. Welcome back. Well, it was a big week honoring some legends. Here's a tweet right here from the Boston Bruins. Timmy time at the Tradition. Bees legend Tim Thomas was honored with the Hockey Legacy Award on Tuesday night at the Sports Museum's annual event at TD Garden, and got a chance to hear some things from Tim Thomas, the legend himself, at the Tradition. So take a listen right here.
What does it mean to you to be honored tonight and coming back to Boston again?
I'm very happy to be here. It's the longer it is from the time you played, the more it means to you when you get honored. Back in the day, you kind of get used to being honored, so to speak, and winning awards and all that. And so now that it's been a few years now since we won that cup in 2011, it's nice to be back and nice to be just around the rink and around. There's still a lot of the same people that were here when I was here before, and I appreciate seeing them, and I appreciate the way that the fans treat me. And I everywhere I go in Boston, I get love, so I can't complain.
Have you gotten a look at how the Bruins dressing room has changed?
Yeah, I did. I haven't seen it since last season, but yeah, it's definitely changed big time. Yeah, it has changed for sure.
You're one of the biggest reasons why they won in 2011. When you're going through that type of run, I'm sure you're in it game by game, right, throughout the playoffs. As you've had a chance now to kind of reflect, what stands out to you the most? What are some of those memories from the playoff run specifically?
I mean, everything, but I mean, there was all kinds of them. I mean, if I think about it, I can go through Ryder making that glove hand save, Zdeno Chara, making the knee pad save, Horty scoring those overtime goals. The list just goes on and on. A couple of the saves I made, I remember, and I remember the reaction in the Garden after I made the stick save, just that feeling, and so those are some of the things.
Looking at Carey Price.
Well, that wasn't in the playoff run, right?
No. But it was on the climb.
Right. Yeah. It was from that season, for sure.
Timmy, you talk about reflecting and looking back, and so to you, what makes Boston so different, special? I mean, you were in the middle of a 20-year run that no other city will ever experience here. I mean, you guys were a big part of that. What makes Boston so special to you?
Well, it happened to be the place that, I got my opportunity and got to taste of what NHL is like. And so I can't really compare it completely to, many of the other teams in the league or something. I didn't experience that. But for me, just overall, Boston's, my favorite American city. It's clean. It's just a good city.
How do you balance the pride and joy, the accomplishment of what you did in 2011 with this next chapter of life and the person you are today and the things you're trying to do now?
Actually, it's easy for me to just forget who I was before. So stuff like this reminds me, of what I have done in the past and what I've accomplished. I don't spend every day sitting around thinking of what happened in the past. Not because it's a bad thing to do, just because you got to look forward in life too, right?
You shared a locker room with Marco when you played.
You watch much hockey now?
No, I don't. I watch some. I was thinking about it, and I really enjoyed playing hockey to the nth degree, but I'm not big watching it.
Keeping up with Marco's team this year?
Yeah, a little bit. I've been to a couple of games, and I got to meet a few of the guys last week at a Bruins event that I attended. And to see them having the success they're having so far this year, I'm happy for everybody. Happy for them, happy for Marco, happy for the city.
What are goalies, the guys that what do they want to know from you? What a piece of advice do they want to get from you? Guys that are in the crease, that understand and saw what you did. Like what's the thing that they want to learn from you?
I don't know. I generally, the goalies I meet, the vast majority of them tell me that I inspired them to play goalie, and I've met so many people that have said that. I can't believe there's enough players left to play forward, because it seems like there's so many goalies out there. They don't usually ask me for any advice. They just tell me, you inspired me, and I loved watching you.
I think one of my favorite things there is them mentioning the fact that this is the place where he got his opportunity. And I had a chance to go to the tradition and interview a few other players, but everyone kind of made it an obvious theme that there's just something special about careers blossoming and just jumping off the page here in Boston. So a lot of gratitude from all of the recipients, including Tim Thomas, which the tradition airs on NESN on December 8th. So make sure that you catch up on that. The Hockey Hub is back at it on Monday. Everyone have a great weekend.